Good day everyone, my name is Matthew Lawrence Bolem Lacap and I'm here to talk about climate change, energy crisis, and environmental awareness. So, what is climate change? Climate change refers to the long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns. Ano nga ba ang pinagkaiba ng weather and climate? Weather refers to the short-term conditions of the atmosphere, while climate describes the average weather conditions over a long period of time. So to speak, weather is a prime example of weather is sunny, rainy, cloudy, windy, etc. While climate naman is like the dry and wet season here in the Philippines, or monsoon, something like that. Going back, such shifts can be natural due to the changes in sun's activity or large volcanic eruptions. But since the 1800s or the Industrial Revolution, as we know, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, mainly used to power up or paganahin ang mga machineries or the engines that we were using before and we're still using now. So, in common usage, climate change describes global warming, the ongoing increase in global average temperature and its effect on Earth's climate system. Climate change, in a broader sense, also includes previous long-term changes to the Earth's climate. So, burning fossil fuels, generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrapped around the Earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperatures. So, a little science refresher. Since, the warm temperature and the cold temperature do not mix, the warm temperature, which has a less lesser density, goes above, and the cold temperature goes below. And in order for the Earth to refresh or cool down from the heat, it releases the temperature. But because of the greenhouse gas emissions, the heat that was accumulated on the Earth from the sun, of course, and the other stuff like generating fire whatsoever, are trapped inside the Earth. So there's kind of no way for the Earth to cool down. Going back, the main greenhouse gases that are causing climate change includes carbon dioxide and methane. These come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building, for example. So, the current rise in global average temperature is primarily caused by human beings by burning fossil fuels again ever since the Industrial Revolution started. So, ano nga po ba ang consequences ng climate change? So, aside from the global warming, it can intensify droughts, water scarcity, severe fires, rising sea levels, flooding, melting the polar ice caps, catastrophic storms, and declining biodiversity, which we are currently experiencing, we are experiencing not a lot more than ever. So, what are the main reason why climate change is happening? So, one is generating power, manufacturing goods, cutting down forests, using transportation, producing food, powering buildings, consuming too much. So, among other things, of course. So, generating power by generating electricity and heat by burning fossil fuels, such as oil, coal, and natural gas, causes a large chunk of global emissions. Most electricity is still produced by fossil fuels. Only about a quarter comes from wind, solar, and the other renewable resources, as we call them. So, that causes climate change. Another one is manufacturing goods. Manufacturing and industry produce emissions, most from burning fossil fuels to produce energy for making things like cement, iron, steel, electronics, whatsoever. So anything that has something to do with manufacturing that uses machineries and engines produces, of course, greenhouse gases. Another one, cutting down forests. Due to cutting down trees to create farms or pastures or for other reasons, it causes emissions. Since trees, when they are cut, release the carbon they have been storing. So, as we know, again, trees store carbon and they release oxygen. So, yeah. So, since forests absorbs carbon dioxide, destroying them also limits nature's ability to keep emissions out of the atmosphere. Another one of it is using transportation. Most cars, ships, and planes run on fossil fuel. Again, like gasoline, petroleum, petroleum nga ba? Yeah, petrolyo actually, and many more. So, ayun, if we say, kunwari, all the private vehicles in the Philippines only contain at least a passenger. So imagine the cost that they are, nagagamit nila because of, mag-isa lang sa sasakyan and they are not, paano ko explain? Hindi sila nagka-carpool ganyan or konti sa isang household maraming nakakotse. Kung 5 kayo tas 5 din yung kotse nyo, imagine the amount of greenhouse gas you will produce. So one way to avoid that is public transport or carpooling or having a strict rule about being a solo motorista. Yeah. So another one is producing food. Producing food requires energy to run farm equipment or fishing boats, usually with fossil fuels. Growing crops can also cause emissions, like when using fertilizers and manure. Cattle produces methane, a powerful greenhouse gas, and emissions also come from packaging and distributing the food. Again, by manufacturing or producing, we are still making greenhouse gas. Another one is powering buildings. Globally, residential and commercial buildings consume over half of all electricity. As they continue to draw on coal, oil, and natural gas for heating and cooling, they emit significant quantities of greenhouse gas emissions. So, mainly, if you if hindi ka aware na, you're using too much of the electricity in your household, like, opening the AC or leaving the AC open if you're not even, in the house, or say you always use your TV or your electric fan, even though you don't need it, you're part of the problem. And another one is consuming too much. Your home and use of power, how you move around, what you eat, and how you throw away all contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. So, does the consuming of goods such as clothing, electronics, and plastics. If you're not aware of, again, if hindi ka masyadong conscious about your footprints, you're part of the problem. Before, in the 80s or 1900s, people were using hairsprays and other types of aerosol that they didn't know were producing greenhouse gas. For a time, no, actually not for a time. During that time, people were all using hairnets and whatsoever to keep their hair in a steady position, para hindi sila magalaw. And not until there was a discussion about those things being too dangerous for the earth. again, ayun, if hindi ka nga aware, you're part of the problem. Another example of consuming too much or things we do on a daily basis that we do not know about is, when we buy too much clothes and then we do not even use them and then we throw them away. And then after that, nung tinapon mo na yung damit, bibili ka na naman ng bago. Producing clothes still cost a lot and produces a lot of greenhouse gas. So, ayun, there are a lot of ways to lessen our footprints. So yeah, thank you.